They tied me up, put a gun to my head.
52 hostages, 444 days. America's first battle with militant Islam.
You know, certain things are never going to change. You're going to have people that are enemies for life. You have the Hatfields and the McCoys. They just don't like each other. Never will. You've got the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. They don't like each other. They never will. You've got Wile E. Coyote and a Roadrunner. They don't like each other. They never will. Iran is our enemy. There were no Jews, there were no Italians, there were no Irish, there were no Polish hijackers on those planes. It was radical Islam. We are sitting here today on the 27th of September, receiving word that the Iranian government wants to assassinate former President Trump, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton. And during this week, the Iranian ambassador, representative from Iran, came to speak at the United Nations with open arms. You have a country that wants to assassinate your former president, currently running for that office, and people in his government at that time when he was in president. And you welcome them with open arms? Have you heard a peep out of Joe Biden, out of the Department of Justice, out of Kamala Harris? They want to assassinate Donald Trump. Now, I know Kamala Harris wants to get rid of Donald Trump. So does Joe Biden. So does the Department of Justice. So do all the Democrats. But you're having another government threaten assassination against one of your government officials, and we sit by and do nothing. I can't understand that for the life of me. Our Schiffhead of the week. It could be the United Nations for allowing that to happen. More importantly, it's the vacuum in leadership in our government. That man who came from Iran to speak should have been arrested. He should have been quarantined to his room. Stay in your room, go to the United Nations, go home. You're not going to any restaurants, you're not going anywhere. I would do the same thing with all the ambassadors who are running the embassies of Iran in this country. You stay at the embassy, that's it. There are enemies threatening assassination against our officials, and we sit there and do nothing. Oh, excuse me, here's what Joe Biden did. He loosened up the embargoes on Iranian oil, which enriched them to fund terrorism around the world. He paid $6 billion for hostages to enrich them, to spread terrorism around the world. They are making millions because he lifted all the embargoes that Trump placed on Iran. Iran was begging. They had accords in the Middle East that were isolating Iran under the Trump administration and were successful. But Joe Biden, nope, said no. Our Schiffhead of the week. Is it Biden? Nah. The United Nations, probably. But you know who started all of this? Who is hell-bent on having an open discussion with Iran and treating him as though our good buddies? Remember a guy by the name of Barack Hussein? We have no leadership in our country, except there's this guy, the only president that I can remember since the 40s, the 30s, ever, that stayed in Washington after his term was over and is pulling the strings behind the puppet known as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Barack Hussein, why don't you leave Washington? Why don't you go back to your birthplace, if we ever know what that is? Watch the Howdy Boomy podcast on the Howdy Boomy channel on YouTube, the Howdy Boomy Show, Truth, Justice, the American Way. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.